Hello, welcome to Ram and Goat Astrology. I'm Laura Lee.
And I'm Helena. Hi, hi, hi.
Thanks for joining us today. We were just talking about keeping calm and not carrying on, right? That's not that phrase keep calm and carry on, but keep calm and just rest. And Helena's got a bit of a hormonal headache, and as soon as she said that, I got the word magnesium across my forehead. And we were talking about supplementation. And what did you say about a car? It was a great line.
I said, if I was a car, I would not be in a good shape right now. Like if I was a car and they left me at the, what's it called?
The fix it place.
The fix-it place, the fix-it people would say, no one's driving this car right now. She needs to stay with us. She needs lots of work done.
We need some new parts. We got to order some parts. It's going to be in a while.
Especially the brakes. The brakes need a lot of work.
Isn't that interesting? And I asked immediately when you said that, I said, where is planet Uranus for you? And then your chart popped in my head, as it does. And I was like, oh, Saturn's right there. Oh, you have to work hard on keeping your body calm. And that's really tough when it's in the 12th house, because that's not in your conscious realm. It's not what you're consciously actively thinking about. And this, you guys, is where astrology can be life-saving. Because if you're chronically getting stressed and chronically not taking care of your body, and you don't realize it because it's hidden from you in the 12th house, you can do this thing called burnout. Helena, tell us about burnout. Have you ever experienced this?
I have. I have, and I feel like I get there quite often, like not the whole way out, because I've learned after a couple of years of, well, many years of doing this, that I do a lot of stuff. I do it, and I just keep adding more things to my life and just never stay still. And then all of a sudden, my memory starts fogging up, and I start to get like pains, and like I notice it with the like hormonally, because if you're stressed out, your hormones are gonna get messed up. And that's how I know. So then I try and slow down. Like, doesn't mean that I do a little bit less things, not too. I don't really take away too much, but I do things slower. I think I'm trying to cheat my way around it. Like,
that's funny.
I'm gonna keep doing the same things but slower. But it's not. Yeah.
Isn't that an interesting?
It doesn't work like that.
It's an interesting realization to say it out loud, though, isn't it? And go, yeah, I actively know I probably should stop for at least a little while, but I don't. I just keep going, but I go slower. Right? It's like knowing we need to get off the highway because there's road construction and we need to take a detour, but we don't want to. So we just like stay on and keep going and pushing through it, even though it would have been way better to just pull over at that rest stop and get some food and gas up and stretch. But now we're stuck in the road construction, still trying to creep forward and go forward and get there, wherever there
and
is.
Exactly. And when you're in a line like that, it stresses you out even more because you're just stuck there. Yeah.
So you're Saturn and your planet of nervous system, electricity. So let's talk about Uranus. I've been really into him a little bit more lately. I go in and out of planet interests. When we study astrology, sometimes we're like really into one planet. And for me, it has been Uranus. I did a somatic release exercise last week for 5 days. I was doing it with a facilitator, Lizzy, who we have to have on the show. And she really was talking about the physical release of the stress that we store in our body, and like the shaking and the bouncing and the things that animals instinctively do, but we don't. Right. And we talked about this last time with my 3-year-old who instinctively was doing that and hitting the ground and whatnot and releasing. But as adults, I don't see where we do that very often. We get stuck on that highway system and we're in that line of just productivity, and I don't see where we stop and get out of the car and shake it out or get into a moving meditation, or just get our body to release a lot of these traumas that we've kept inside. And so I learned a lot with this, and I'll tag Lizzy and put all her stuff in, and we'll definitely have her on. She's phenomenal with really explaining your sympathetic nervous system and your parasympathetic nervous system and the way your body responds. And this is shit I was into seriously about 9 or 10 years ago when I was struggling with my own crash and burn, as I'm sure many of our listeners have had. There's not a lot of general support on it yet, and it's getting there. It's starting to come about. Thank you, Saturn in Pisces, for these lessons, but it's starting to come about. I'm seeing a lot more reels where younger 20 somethings are talking about nervous systems and, calming yourself. But a lot of people don't even know in reality what that means. And it's different for everybody because of your chart, right? Those of you born in Helena's time frame, right? You got this late 80s time frame where Uranus and Saturn were conjunct for a while. You guys in Sagittarius, you guys have this beautiful lesson of really learning to mature into finding the answers, because Sagittarius is about searching for knowledge, right? So you got to find these answers through other forms of learning, right? How does this culture do peace and calming? And how does, what does ayahuasca do? Or what does cannabis do? Or what does this mom group on Cosmic Mama Collective do, right? It's finding different, unique ways to work with your particular nervous system. It's really interesting for your particular generation with that Saturn there playing mature cop, or like principal going, you need to do the work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, because I notice it in a way that when I have these like burnouts, it becomes very Saturn. It's very much like, it has that vibe of, I need to learn the lesson here. Why does this keep happening? And it brings about that feeling of guilt also. Like, why does this keep happening? Why have I not figured it out yet? But that's the thing with Saturn, like it is something that you need to keep working on until you have got it more in balance. Like that's one of my struggles, or like tasks, sort of, to figure out. And it is hard along the way, but that's what my chart is asking of me to do. So that is like one of the things in my chart, that this is what I need to figure out. my little burnouts. I need to figure out how to deal with my everyday life, and how can I be still like productive, or like find the balance between all of this Capricorn and also the fire, being productive and starting things, but then also having so much 12th house energy.
Well, there's the other layer, right? So not only does it help to know your nervous system and where that is. So mine's in the 6th house. That's very different than 12th house. It's completely opposite. So yours is hidden from you. Your nervous system pings and tings and like, excuse me, hello, I'm not okay. You don't feel those readily. They're just like kind of hidden in the closet. It's like somebody grabbed a bunch of papers and put them in a pile and shoved them away in a box in a closet. Well, like, it's there somewhere, but it takes effort. And then Saturn on top of that in the 12th house, boy, now it really takes effort. Now you need to have a structure and a foundation and discipline, and you need to take time to mature into it. And then you'll start to go, okay, every morning I need to check in with my physical body and work for 10 to 15 minutes every day to really feel what my adrenals need, what my core needs are. Have I been working for 6 days in a row without a break and a walk at the park? Okay, yeah, I have. All right. Right? Like doing the actual quote unquote paperwork, filing the taxes, doing the payroll, like doing the hard, kind of irritating stuff is what your nervous system absolutely needs. more than anything. And then because it's in the
Yeah.
unconscious 12th house, I personally would practice these things either right when you wake up or right before you go to bed, because it's that Piscean 12th house area where it's dreamy, or if you're in an artistic space, if you're doing clay or things like that, right? Wherever you're in that flow halfway in between state, that meditative, the different brain waves. That's
Yeah,
where you need to
that's so
tune in.
true. Yeah, that's why those are the things I miss about, for example, like working with clay, because that is really so relaxing for my nervous system
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
to kind of disappear into something like, yeah, a little bit in that dream world.
Well,
Yeah,
and the
for sure.
clay is also that transmutation of, you've got this in Sagittarius, Uranus and Saturn are both in Sag. And Sag is a playful fire sign, right? Every time you think of fire, think of children. Children love to play. And it's very Saturny to take the clay and turn it into something useful. This shall be a plate or a pot or a
Yeah.
something, right? This is going to become a functional thing. So we got Saturn taken care of. Uranus is there. He's independent and just doing whatever willy nilly, not really following any rules. And then Sagittarius is having fun and transforming something. That's what fire likes to do. So I think, girl, getting back into clay for you sounds like a really great system you can build upon, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you do a once a week. That's a good Saturn structure. Once a week, every Sunday night, you do your clay or whatever it is. But I think a structure that you can anchor yourself to in the fog. Oh, I have my clay class. It's Sunday night. I gotta go. Nope, gotta go do my clay class, right? So it's
Yeah.
that accountability for your nervous system to have that 2 hours of just, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It definitely. And I think also for me, springtime is sort of here, although it snowed here. It's snowing right now. But soon, you can start putting your hands in the soil.
Yes.
And that's also so regulating for my nervous system.
It really is. It really is.
Yeah,
It's why I
it
love
really.
gardening so much. And my Uranus is in the 6th house, which is an earth house ruled by
Yeah.
Virgo energy. And of course, Virgo is health and home and food and those daily routines. So for me as well, I have Uranus in Sag as well, but at 4 degrees. Yours is at 26. So mine's at the beginning and yours is at the end. And mine, I really find calming. The things that calm my nervous system are plants, taking care of plants, whether it's house plants or garden or planting fruit trees or tending to berry bushes or weeding them out. Oh, girl, I will get lost out there and I just have so much fun. And typically I listen to podcasts or like personal development courses while I'm doing that. So there's like my daily routine of like, go out and tend to your plants, go out and tend to your berries. And then for Sagittarius education, that's my time when I can just listen and explore new realms and new ideas while I'm doing my disciplined
Yeah.
daily work. But if I don't get that, my stress levels get triggered really bad by those things I quote unquote need to be of service to my children, my animals, right? Those things that
Right.
normally bring me comfort and stability and calm my nervous system, like sitting and nursing the baby, suddenly become the stressor. So it can flip really fast for me, where the being with my kids is very and super cool when I have enough of my own calming time, when I have enough of my own away time, independent time. And then when I'm with them, it's great. We're super calm. But if I don't have enough of that away independent time, they fire up my nervous system. It's like two sides of the same coin, you know?
So do you notice it straight away when your nervous system gets triggered?
Yes. Do I always take action on it when I notice it? No. Yes, because I've really tuned in over the years of doing personal development work and reading books and just really trying to quote unquote solve my nervous system issues. I found my triggers to be very, very minuscule, Virgo-y type things. Now, even though we're talking about Uranus and we're talking about Sagittarius, this is the 6th house. And I think the house makes all of the difference. So where your nervous system is placed and what part of the village map, as Deborah Silverman says, right? This is a map. In the area of the village map, that's where you have to look for your triggers. And for me, the area of life of the 6th house is really about keeping things tidy, keeping things nice, like having things in an organized way, having things function efficiently, right? It's a very like, let's make sure that we know where the band-aids are so that we don't have to go searching for them next time we need them, right? Let's put them back, right? It's very kind of Virgo-y behaviors. And for me, my triggers are when it's an overwhelm of visual clutter, right? Let's say there's a sock here, and then why is that blanket over there, and the dishes are out here, and it's all of a sudden I'll notice all of the items at once, and then I'll start to very forcefully, very Sagittarian heat wise, I very forcefully start to dictate and delegate tasks to everybody around me, and it's always cleaning. Hey, need to get the dishes doing. No, we need to get these going. I don't know what you're doing. And they're like, Mama, we're eating. Yeah, well, you've been eating for 45 minutes. Let's go. Right. Like I start to get real quick about my delegating and that's my, this is really funny. As I'm talking to you, I can feel heat traveling up my nervous system from my adrenal glands right up between my shoulder blades. I can feel it getting warmer as I'm speaking to you, and I'm getting into that mom, quote unquote, mom mode. So those are my triggers, and I've noticed them over the years. And now that there's 5 children, I really have to breathe into them and go, yep, look at, there's toys on the floor. Yep. And we're going to let that go. I have to actively talk to myself. And just while I'm sitting there in the rocking chair, you know, with the baby on the boob, and I'm just sitting there rocking, going, this is your life. This is the chaos. We don't have to let it light us on fire. Like I have to just say these mantras to soothe myself. Yeah, absolutely. So that's what I do now. Prior to that, it wasn't fun. It was me just basically, if you could picture a firework, right? One of those containers where it shoots off just random different kinds of fireworks. It's like loaded with different types. And you can picture that inside of me. And then I'm in the house, just random. And then someone lights me up. And then all of a sudden, various fireworks just come shooting out of me at any given moment in whatever room I'm in. It's probably a different firework in the bedroom versus in the kitchen. And I'll just keep on going off and going off and going off. And I sense sparks and fireworks everywhere. And before I knew it, my whole house was a nightmare. My children were crying. Everybody was mad. My husband and I weren't talking. It was freaking terrible because I didn't know how to manage my nervous system. And I didn't understand the triggers. Now, flash forward 10 years later, I'm an expert at recognizing the triggers, still working on managing and getting out of the house to shoot off if I need to, right? Or finding a friend, phoning a friend, help. Help. And then also taking time to just sit in my studio and really do my journal work, right? Do my inner work. Look at my husband, look at my kids and go, I can't function right now. I need 10 minutes. Take my journal, go in the bedroom, put on an oil and take deep breaths. Because you guys, astrology doesn't just happen in a vacuum. There's not just one planet sitting there by itself. That happens occasionally, but usually they're chatting with each other. And for mine, 4 degrees Uranus is opposite in the sky, my 4-degree moon in the 12th house. So that's when I know there's emotional needs that haven't surfaced and I have to deal with the emotions. So for me, my emotions and my nervous system are intricately connected. For you, it's your physical body with Saturn there, right? And it's your structure. So you're really connected through the physical structure. For me, it's my heart space. What is it for for you guys, for our listeners? I'm so curious, right? Like, let us know in the comments. Tell us, who does Uranus chat with in your chart? Because that's going to influence how you handle stress, how you get stressed, and how you calm yourself down.
Yeah, and also like look at what house Uranus is sitting in, and because we're talking so much about the house, it's because Uranus is a very slow moving planet, so it's a generational planet.
Yeah.
That's why we tend to look more at the houses when it comes to Pluto, Neptune, Uranus.
And how to recognize triggers, because like I said, my triggers for my nervous system show up in a very Virgo way. Now, I don't have anything in my chart in Virgo. There's nothing active. But boy, do I have a lot of Virgonian. Is that, I don't know if that's the word. Virgo energy.
Virgonian, yeah.
Virgonian energy. When I've got Pluto, Jupiter, Ceres, our self-care planet, and Uranus all in the 6th house. So that's a lot of energy in that area of life. So I have to know that not only is my nervous system going to kind of come out that way, also the way I do self-care. I got to work hard on my daily routines too, on how I feed myself. I'm sure we've done that a couple conversations around feeding myself, but Jupiter's always there, or also there for me too. So I get really expansive in my 6th house. Well, you guys, I have a basketball team. I created a lot of humans. I have a lot of animals. We have a lot going on. Yeah, Jupiter's there. So that is going to influence my nervous system as well, because I bring in a lot of things, which those things cause chaos.
Yeah.
So this is so important when it comes to doing somatic work and somatic release. And as I was doing Lizzie's class this week, I thought, man, her and I really got to hook up and do some nervous system class or course with astrology. So I felt like this is what I was missing in health coaching too. I was always doing people's charts as a health coach, because there's so much good information when it comes to their health and wellness in their chart.
Yeah, there is. And I feel like also when you're looking at your Uranus and what house it is, that gives you a lot of information that helps you. And if you're in a situation where you feel like your nervous system is very triggered, I think that you can also take help from your moon placement. And we know that the moon is our emotional it's our emotional security. It's what makes us feel safe and good and sort of feeds us emotionally.
Yep.
And if we use the information from our moon placement to sort of soothe ourselves, like yours is in Gemini, so you would need to talk a lot about what you're going through, you know?
Amen.
So yeah, when you're in a situation like that, when you're super stressed and triggered, yeah, take help from your moon sign. Like, what do I need to emotionally comfort myself and to calm myself in this moment?
So with you, your moon in Capricorn, that feels to me like you've got to do a physical thing, right? Going back to playing with clay and working with soil, that feels really right and really aligned with you connecting with your heart space, really getting into there, is doing the physical stuff.
Yeah.
That probably makes you just like calms your emotions so nicely.
It does. It's so funny how those two things are both have to do with earth, and it's my moon is an earth sign. Clay and garden. Yeah.
I mean, you could also, I can see you really enjoying to build stuff too. You could also build things.
I would love to build something.
Yeah, construction, like give you a power tool and some 2x4s, and I could see you yeah.
Oh yeah, I'm into that.
I love that you said that about pulling your moon in for your nervous system, because one of the things I've really been studying is allowing emotions to move through you. And there's a lot of bodies of research that said on average emotions last about 90 seconds. You guys, that's a minute and a half.
Interesting. What? It's much longer than that.
Right. The reason they feel like they last longer is because we catch the story. We hook the story, and then we pull the story up into our brain, and we activate and identify with the story. The emotion gets reactivated every time we retell the story. So now it's another 90 seconds. Okay, now we tell the story again, another 90 seconds. And before you know it, you've hooked together the story, and now it's been 30 years. You've been living in that hamster wheel of a story.
Wow.
So allowing that, now this is not easy work, but it's simple work.
Wow.
Allowing yourself to just feel the feeling and move through you. Now, yes, some kids and some adults, we can hang on to it and we can cry for a really long time. 10, 15, 20 minutes. That's a long time of crying. If you've ever cried for 20 minutes, it is exhausting. But if you do that, it's because there's been a backlog of emotions that you haven't released. And so once you open the floodgates and all the water comes sweeping out, it just, let's take everything with it, and you get to release. So those big, huge cries like my daughter did the other day, that was a backlog of frustration and all of that since not being able to nurse anymore, and not, taking away the pacifier and all of these things she's been trying to, quote unquote, be a big girl about. She hasn't just let herself feel angry. And so she felt angry, and it was about 12 minutes. It's a long time of feeling angry, but she let it move through her, and we were done.
Yeah.
And since then, she's been fantastic. She hasn't really asked for milkies. She just kind of, it was like that big cathartic release and then shift. And now our relationship has gotten much more in balance and much more harmonious. So watching her feel those emotions and deal with her nervous system in Taurus, she is born with she's got Mars in Taurus and Uranus in Taurus. And then Uranus is currently on top of her natal Mars. So this was a really big activation to really physically release a lot in her body. And she did it. Now, how many of us as adults actually do that?
Wow. And I feel like also for us adults, when a feeling might be creeping in, you might be at work or in a place where you think like, oh no, I can't have this feeling right now. No, so you sort of, you try and push it away as much as you can. And also in that way, it hooks you for longer, because then you don't let it go through you. It just sort of comes in 10%. And then it's just there 10%, like biting at you a little bit for the whole day, because you're not letting it like
Great
sweep
description.
you away. Yeah.
Great description. I think that's the biggest challenge, is that it does show up. Emotions do show up at really inopportune times. We do get stress hooked at really inopportune times. And if we don't excuse ourselves and go to the bathroom or go to our car or go to wherever for a walk around the building and move it out of us, it will get stuck down and lodged down. In fact, some people, you particular, people with a moon in an earth sign, my son as well, you guys are like pros at this shit.
Oh,
you
yeah.
are like, emotion. I don't want to deal with that right
now.
It's not
20 years ago.
Yeah, it's not practical. I had one 20 years ago. It's not a practical time. I don't have time for this. Here, I got some space in this right leg. Let's just shove it down this right leg.
Yeah.
And then you guys are also prone to physical ailments, knee issues, shoulder issues, because you hang on to this shit. And it's really problematic. I work with a lot of stuck emotions in earth people with my clients. And we do a lot of deep work with journaling and physical activities like building stuff to get it out of us. Like as we build this particular item, we are working on emotional release with this particular item, right? Maybe we build a birdhouse to put our emotions into or something, right? But it's a physical thing that as we build it, we're working on a particular emotion or a particular release or changing the story in our mind.
Wow. Like, when you said that, building a birdhouse and putting your emotions there, that really, I just went, I want to do that.
Do it. Build a little birdhouse. and as you're building it, you're constantly picturing your heart space, your heart door, heart chakra opening, and your emotions coming out in and going into this birdhouse. Now, that is not a physical crying or a physical release, but the act of focusing on your heart space going into the physical building and structure, I think is very cathartic and could be very healing for a lot of people. Yeah, I did this with one of my clients probably 3 weeks ago. This is a homework activity.
It's not that people with moon in Capricorn and moon in Earth signs, it's not that we don't have feelings. It's just that we are so good at, like you said, compartmental, like just like just sort of dealing with them as little as possible, for like only when we sort of need to, and hiding it away. Like, I think that we are the best at not showing them if we choose not to. Like 100%. We can go a long time with a feeling and not show it because we just choose to. Whereas like a moon in an air sign or fire sign, like, it will shoot out of them what they're feeling. Yeah. Really, or fast. Water, they will get really emotional. You can't hide it. You can't stop it. But with Earth, we just go, well, I'm not going to think about that right now. Like, I'm not going to talk about that right now, or for a long time.
It's like you have,
I can say, and then it gets stuck in the body.
It's like you have gopher holes all over, and you can just go shove. Oh, I got frustration. I'm going to go put that in the gopher hole on, level B in sector 5 over there. You just go put it down into the earth, and it's not a bad thing. I'm not judging, but it's something to be aware of, because for you guys, you will not want to feel the feeling in the moment. And that in turn is the thing that builds up over time that does trigger the nervous system. And for you, it makes sense that your cycle would be the physical trigger to create awareness around this. That makes total sense.
Yeah.
Thanks, Body. Thanks for talking to us.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Nervous system stuff, I feel like we could talk about forever. It's fascinating. It's actually what I wrote my chapter on in the book Dare to Express. We each wrote a chapter. There's 10 of us, ladies, 11 of us. And I didn't know when I first signed up for that book project what I was going to write about. But this is the story that needed to come out. But it was basically one of my, I think it is the top like burnout moment I experienced, and like what that looked like in reality. Waking up to burnout feeling, continuing on the day with burnout, like how I emoted it, what I did, the damage I caused with my fireworks, right? It was a very cathartic experience to write this, because again, moon in Gemini, and then to put it out for others to read and for others to heal. And then I think one of the most profound things that happened from that is my older brother and I we're close, is good, but we're not like emotionally real close. He's got a Capricorn moon and Capricorn rising as well. So he's just very practical about things. He'll make sure your car is running well, but not the warmest, fuzziest person. And one of the things that happened when I wrote that is he commented on, or made a review on Amazon, and the review would have been just whatever to anybody else, but because of the way it was worded and because of the way he said it, it was something along the lines of, I didn't know that I was the only, or I felt this too, or like he really identified with it, right? I have it saved somewhere. Of course, I'm not doing it justice now, but the way he worded it and wrote it made me feel like I had completed some sort of generational healing thing by doing this, by putting this out there, having my brother read this deep, intimate thing, then having him comment that he's also experienced similar things, and that, I wasn't alone. That little review, that little thing made that generational healing take place. Just poof, like that. And again, when your moon's in the 12th house, this is what you're here to do, people. You got a moon in the 12th. You're here to heal emotional shit from the past. Just embrace that. And it happens in weird little ways like that. So for me, telling my story about my nervous system shutdown and this big crash I had, and like my most shameful parenting moment, and to put it out there and in words, with Gemini, and then my brother to read it and comment that he's had similar experiences and like felt connected. I was like, oh, and then that helped heal my emotional space. And like, it's just also intricately connected. I just love it. So I think anybody who wants to do some somatic work or nervous system work, we're going to hook you up with Lizzy, and we're going to have her on the show here soon too, as I gave her like 20 shout outs today, because her 5-day program I just did, it was free. It was pretty life-changing. And I've done this work before. So the fact that I'm doing it again and it's still changing my life, it's still bringing awareness, it's still creating new energy and new tools for me to deal with stuff. I think this work is something we always have to do. That's why
please put it in show notes so we all can take part of that.
Right? We all have to do the nervous system work, and that's part of the Earth School experience is the emotional stuff, the nervous system stuff, the health stuff. Like this is the 3D reality.
Yeah, and I feel like also right now with 4 planets in Pisces, like we're all just a little bit extra receptive to the outside world. Like things are like we're more porous than we usually are, so we get more easily triggered right now. It's a time right now, globally, where everyone's just more
porous,
easily triggered. More porous, more intake.
So everybody take care of yourselves. Now that Mars is into Pisces right now, Saturn's in Pisces, Venus is in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces, we're still really doing healing as a collective. We are really working on healing. And now that the Sun and Mercury are in Aries, we can take action on how we do the healing, which is why I loved Lizzy's program, because it was like this doing something about it, right? We were meditating and we were learning, but we were actively doing something. And that's what I really think people need is like, okay, now I know I'm triggered and I know my nervous system's not okay, but now what do I do? Right? How do I take action? Well, you can get a reading with us so we can help you get you specific ideas on your chart. And then you can take courses and learn from all of the amazing people we connect with and we learn from. So everybody take a deep breath. Wherever you are, let's do another one. They're free. My 10-month-old, well, he's 11 months now, is taking deep breaths with us. And it's probably the cutest thing I've ever seen. So cute. Adorable. So teach your body it's okay. You're not being chased by a bear right now. Take some deep breaths.
Exactly.
And reach out to us if you need some help reading your chart. We'd be happy to do a reading with you. And like and share this if you know anyone who needs some help learning about the nervous system and wanting to understand a little bit more. We hope this helps you guys and can't wait to see you next time. Take care, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for joining us on this episode of RamGoatAstrology. You can support the show by buying us a coffee or a tea. Link in the show notes. Your financial support means the world to us. Join us next time.